Let's talk about one more way that you can save an Adobe Illustrator document in a format that you actually might use a lot. EPS, Encapsulated Postscript, a favorite of 4-color presses, for example. Go to the Word file, select Save. In my case, Save As, since I've already saved it once. Change the format to EPS. Click Save. Your options start with version. You may need to change the version to fit the device you're going out to. However, the farther back you go, the less features you have, so you might want to check that before you click a button. But you have the ability to go all the way back to Illustrator 3. Preview is only for devices, applications actually, that cannot directly preview EPS documents. And so you give them a preview option. You can do a TIFF, you can say none, or black and white. If you're doing TIFF, you can choose transparent or opaque, which means, do you want a big white box around our little Mr. Buggy, or do you want it transparent? In most cases, you probably want it transparent. The transparency options, depending on what version of the application that you're working with, you have options to preserve your overprints, your presets for resolution. For example, if you're going out to press, you're probably here. If you're going out to inkjet laser, you're probably here. And if you're going out to the internet, you're probably here. And of course, all you have to do is click here to customize that any way that you want. Your fonts, do you want to embed the fonts for other applications? If you embed them, that's fine. But it's going to make the file obviously bigger, so you want to watch that. And here's another thing. Not all fonts allow permission to be embedded. So you may click that button, it still might not work with the fonts that you're using. Again, check before you actually send it out. Your other options, of course, include any linked files if there are. Include document thumbnails. Now that's a thumbnail that's displayed like in Adobe Illustrator when you say open or place. Include CMYK PostScript in RGB files. Now what's that? It will allow RGB color documents to be printed from applications that don't support RGB output. So that's actually not a bad thing to do if you think you're going to that type of device. Compatible gradient and gradient mesh printing. This option enables older printers and PostScript devices to print gradients and gradient meshes by converting them, understand, to JPEG. So if you click that button, you're converting any gradient meshes that you've done into JPEGs in Adobe Illustrator. You have an option to use the printer's default screen and the Adobe PostScript option. You've got level 2 and level 3 languages. Level 2 language represents color as well as grayscale, vector, and bitmap images, all that stuff. It supports RGB, CMYK, and CIE-based color models, which is good. And it's good for vector and bitmap graphics. PostScript 3 provides additional ways to work in Adobe Illustrator because it has the ability to do things like print mesh, gradient meshes. If you use PostScript level language 2, by default, gradient meshes will be converted into JPEGs. If you're using level 3 and going out to a level 3 device, your gradient meshes will be ripped from the original vector. Click OK to save it. The EPS format in some ways is a more universal format for saving and storing vector information than Adobe Illustrator, and there are applications out there that won't open an AI, but they'll open an EPS.